And good afternoon and welcome to High Top Sports Network presented by TGIF Solutions, the home of Shellhammer Atwood Agency, the Brad Johnson Agency, the Vody Agency, and McMahon Brothers Insurance. Today, I'm honored to be joined by one of the greatest players in Dayton High School basketball history and, despite that, also my uncle, Uncle Steve Aden. Great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
So I want to get right into your high school career. You know, you were one of the best players in Armstrong County. Your junior and senior year, you know, I was going back over the scrapbook that your mother and my grandmother, Rose Aden, put together during your high school career. And there's just some phenomenal numbers in there for what you did. What really stands out to you from your high school career?
As far as games just the career?
Yeah, just your overall thoughts about your career.
I loved playing the game. I loved basketball, and I enjoyed playing for Dick Crawford, and had good teammates. And we didn't do what I thought we could have been able to do. But I think overall we made the playoffs my junior and senior year, so that was something that hadn't been done for a long time.
Right.
And we won a district when I was a junior year, and that was something we haven't done for a long time too. So that was satisfying. So to make that happen again in Dayton.
Yeah, you played multiple sports growing up. A heck of a soccer player. Played baseball as well. Why basketball? What made you choose that sport?
It's a game I started playing young. I mean, they used to have a little thing for elementary kids, and I just felt that was the sport that I enjoyed the most. And also helped that I was 6'5". So but I enjoyed playing it when I was young, like I said, in elementary. Then when I got to junior high, I seen that I could play the game. And when you can play the game and excel at it, you want to do it more.
Right.
So that's what drove me.
So you think, you know, your junior high years, that was really the years you started to think, hey, I can actually be pretty good at this?
Yes, my junior high years. I mean, elementary, you play at that point, the elementary system back there, you played maybe a couple times a year, just
Right.
in front of halftime between games. But as junior high, I seen that I could play the game, and I was good at it. So and I was growing at that point. So that's what really started me down the path of wanting to be the best that I could be.
Right. Talk to me about Dick Crawford. I know he had a very huge impact on you, not just as a basketball player, but also as a person.
Dick was a strict coach, but he got the best out of me, I thought, as a coach. I mean, he drove me, and it also helped that he was a big man when he played in college and high school. So he transferred a lot of his skills to me, which I thought made me a better ball player. Like I said, he was disciplinary, but I also liked to play for him.
Right. Now, he obviously helped you get recruited to play college ball. Just talk to me about that. What was that situation like whenever you were getting ready to decide where you wanted to go play basketball after high school?
Oh, it was I grew up on a farm, a dairy farmer, and I wanted to stay in agriculture, and there wasn't that many agricultural schools out there. So I applied at Penn State and Cornell and let's see, Virginia. I think Virginia Tech. But I wasn't going to go play basketball there. I mean, that was Division I, and so I got into Penn State. So I decided to go up to Barron and play, and so that's where I went. Played there for 2 years. But the process was, you know, at that point I was getting letter after letter after letter, but that's just letters. I don't know how I know it's probably different now than what it was then, but of course I wanted to stay local. Didn't really want to go too far away. But so, I mean, it was, you know, as a high school kid, you didn't know what you wanted to do as far as where you wanted to go, but I just knew I wanted to play basketball, and I thought I could play there as soon as I stepped on the floor.
Right.
So
now, you know, after your basketball career, and, you know, you have children of your own, and they turned out to be pretty decent ball players too. Tanisha and Sheena, your daughters, both scored over 2,000 points in their high school career, and you got to coach them at Lakeview. Talk to me about that. How did you decide that you wanted to coach your daughters?
Well, I was helping out in the elementary program, and I was coaching the girls elementary, and we would go to traveling teams. And Tanisha at that point was 5 years older than my youngest daughter, and so she was playing junior high, then into her freshman through senior years. And at that point, they had an opening as a JV coach when Tanisha was a senior.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm already coaching. I said, that's kind of what I wanted to do. I kind of thought I could help these programs. So, and I applied for the job, and they gave it to me, and that's kind of how I got started coaching.
Right. Well, Tanisha, it's kind of interesting how you said about Coach Dick Crawford transferring his big man skills to you. Tanisha played under the hoop. Sheena was more of a slasher and a scorer that way. But how did you help Tanisha come along? How did you transfer those skills?
Just basically what you said, what I was taught and what I was taught in college. I mean, how to post up, know which side the defender's on, which way to turn, which way to go to the hoop, on how to dribble in the paint, and just positioning yourself and rebounding. I mean, you gotta, rebounding's just not being big, it's a skill. You gotta know what you play the odds on what side of the hoop it's going to come off, and you're going to be able to move as soon as the shot's going up. You just can't be stationary. So I thought I could transfer that to her and help her in her game as a post player.
Yeah, and you won nearly 100 games as a head coach at Lakeview. I mean, that's pretty impressive. How was it different to coach Sheena as opposed to Tanisha?
Well, they were two different kids. I mean, two different players, two different types of players. Like I said, Tanisha was, like I said, she demanded the ball, and Sheena was the one that delivered the ball. I mean, when she played, she was a scorer, like you said, a slasher, and also was my guard. So, like I said, there were two different types of kids and two different types of personalities. You could treat one different than you could treat the other one. And as a parent, everybody knows your kids ain't all the same.
Right.
So, and especially being girls, you had to kind of watch, how to yell and how to bring them up, and where you have to tear them down at. And so with girls, it's different than guys, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What kind of challenges did that present, coaching your daughters like that, being the coach, and also having to be strict with them and also fair with them? I mean, it had to be very challenging.
Yes, it was. I mean, I remember one game I was coaching Sheena at Sagertown, and I had the other team's parent come down after the game and kind of said how I treated my daughter was very unfair, and I should be ashamed of the way I treated her. And my daughter happened to be standing there, and she looked up at him, and she said, "He's my dad. He can talk to me the way he wants to." But I knew what kind of player she knew, and I demanded her to be excellent,
right?
Because she was. And so when I seen that she wasn't, I'd let her know.
Yeah.
But they knew how to. I was her dad. It was easier for me to talk to them like that and say another coach that wasn't related to them, or a father-daughter atmosphere there.
Any long silent car rides home after games?
Good thing we only lived a mile from the school. Oh yeah, we had some of them, but as I kind of learned, a coach told me that he says, when you get home, don't talk about it. I mean, you can say nice game, but don't break them down at home. Kind of let them diffuse themselves. Kind of, it's always better the next day, no matter what happened the night before, whether lost next day. And sometimes you just don't want to say anything that you're going to regret. So we kind of left it on the court, never brought it home. I mean, the next day we'd talk about opponents or who's coming up and what we're going to do. And as far as that, but it's just a game that when you're in the middle of a game, your objective is to win, and you want them to give your best to win. When they don't, you get mad, you're frustrated. So, and they knew it after the game in the locker room. Then that was it. Next day at practice, we might do a little bit more running.
Oh man, I wouldn't have wanted to play for you. You would have had me running all day. But hey, I want to take you back to the farm for a little bit. Grandpa Dean, your father, my grandfather, Dean Aden, he built you a full court, a basketball court on the farm. And I remember growing up, that was one of the coolest things for me, to just walk right across the road when we lived on the farm and shoot hoops. And then as I was growing up, before, Grandma and Grandpa sold the farm, just to be able to play there all the time. How did it come about that Grandpa built that?
Well, when I was either sophomore or junior year, I had a basketball hoop in the barn, and
I remember that hoop too.
And I played that nonstop, relentless every night. I mean, in the wintertime, especially every night. And so I wanted to be able to play all the time. And so I decided if I was going to play college, I wanted a court. And so I had some money saved, and Dad pitched in the rest. And so that's kind of how we come to pouring a lot of cement and putting hoops up. And so, it was nice. I mean, it was nice. You can walk outside, grab a basketball, or early in the morning when I go out and get some ball handling, throw up 500 shots. It was nice.
Whenever you practiced at home, did you ever keep track in your mind, hey, I got to get 500 up today? Because I was always like that. I counted every shot that I took when I practiced because I wanted to make that goal. Were you like that? Or was it just, you just played as much as you could?
I played as much as I could, but I kind of put it on a time. If I went out there and shot the ball for an hour, I know I had 500 shots in. Right. Or shot the ball 40. So it was how much time I had and what I did. Tried to work on my ball handling, just something that you can do out there with two balls and work with a handle, and then try to get 500 shots up, or maybe 50 foul shots too, and just stuff like that to try to help your game.
And then go milk the cows, of course.
And go milk cows.
Well, that brings me to a point that I wanted to make. Grandpa is probably the hardest working person next, him and my mom are the two people that I always think of as the hardest working people I ever met. Yep. And what was that like to try and say, hey, I'm a star basketball player. I don't want to do chores today. I want to go shoot. Was that ever an option?
Nope. No, it was no option. I mean, hey, my dad and mom let me play every sport. I mean, I played soccer, I played basketball, I played baseball, and never had a problem, practices, way to practices and that. But when you come home, you worked. Mm-hmm. And before you went to school, you worked. So we helped there. So even like game nights, I had to get my chores done before I could get on the bus to go to a game. So to help them out so they could come watch me play.
Right.
So, but yeah, he was, like you said, he was the hardest working person I know.
Yeah.
So, and he expected that from us. And I think that work ethic transferred to me as far as on the court. I mean, I ain't going to say I ever worked as hard as my dad, but I think that work ethic that he instilled kind of went over to the basketball court with me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, seeing him work the way he worked every single day, that had to be able, it had to be inside you, even if it was subconsciously. And then, like you said, transfer it onto the court or whatever sport you were playing. Right.
It did. It was, and another reason it was a way to get off the farm too.
Yeah.
It was 2-3 hours a day that you didn't have to come right home from school and go work. I mean, it was 3 hours. It wasn't like we were relaxing on the basketball court. It was something different, something to get away from the farm. But yeah, he probably instilled the most as far as work ethic. And, I kind of get upset if I didn't perform the way I wanted to perform. But Dad never said one word. I mean, he never talked to me about the game or this and that. Never, the way coaching is now, I mean, parents are a lot more involved in their kids' activities anymore. And mom and dad came to the game, but whatever the coach said was what went on. They wasn't going to they didn't expect me to back talk to him. And so they weren't going to say anything to the coach about how he disciplined me.
Right.
So.
Talk to me about your soccer career, because that's something, I mean, that's something that, I always looked at you as a basketball player, but then later in life, I found out you were an excellent, excellent soccer player. How did that, how did you get interested in soccer, and how did you feel differently on the pitch as opposed to on the court?
Oh, soccer was a sport that was played in the fall. We didn't have football at Dayton, and my teammates on the basketball team, they played soccer too. So it was kind of thing that's what I wanted to do. And plus it gave me something to do in the fall, because you couldn't practice basketball in the fall, and another reason not to be at home working. So I got to play another sport. So, but when I was a freshman, Dayton had a goalie. Dave Butler was a senior when I was a freshman. So I didn't play I played JV soccer, but then as a sophomore, I started goalie for our high school team. And I don't know how I think I had very good ball instincts.
Yeah.
I think that soccer on deflecting the shot or getting to a position was the same way I went about rebounding the basketball. I put up some big numbers rebounding. That's because it's just I knew where to go, and I think it transferred to the soccer field.
Yeah, like you said, good ball skills. I mean, it also helps, like you said before, being 6'5", 6'6" in the net. They don't leave a lot of space for the opposing team to shoot at. But that instinct to go after the ball the same way as in a rebounding situation. I mean, I put you in net too.
Yeah, I mean, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game, and I went to Penn State Barron, and the coach come up there and he wanted me to play soccer for him. And at that point, I was just trying to get through school and play one sport instead of trying to play two.
Well, let's talk about your third sport here, baseball. I know later in life, you and I got to play some fast pitch softball together, playing some tournaments together, some windmill tournaments, and that was always a big thrill for me. And also seeing you up at States every year in Meadville, that was always a big thrill to be able not only to play against you, but later to have you come watch me play. Right. And talk to me about baseball. How did the love of baseball, was it just something to do in the spring, or did you actually love the game?
Oh, I love baseball, and I still love baseball. Love to watch it, even though the Pirates ain't any good. I still love the game. I just, in the summertime, I'd knock the mortar out of the bricks on my mother's house, just throwing a ball against it. And I played Little League, which was the Little League field was about a mile away. And so I loved the pitch, and your dad kind of helped me in that aspect, because when you guys lived across the road from where we were, he would always come over and throw catch, and he loved the game too. But I just love playing baseball too. I like pitching, and I played first base. Of course, I wasn't very fast, but I was long.
Big target over there.
Yeah.
Give me some background on the nickname Hook, because it's the first time my dad ever called you that. I was like, what are you talking about? Where did the nickname Hook come from?
Well, that come back in junior high. Dave Satosky was my high school coach, and back then people still shot skyhooks.
Yeah.
And so I would shoot a skyhook, and so he started calling me Hook. And so that's kind of where it come from, and it stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck.
Did you like the nickname, or were you kind of like, oh man, they're calling me Hook all the time?
No, I like the nickname, and when you play the game, even the other schools knew my nickname, so it was, they might not know me by my first name, but they called me Hook. So no, I didn't have no problem with that. I mean, I enjoyed it. Kind of, that was my name in high school.
Now, your youngest child, Gavin, my cousin Gavin, you didn't coach him. And I know that, Gavin's much younger than Tanisha. And I think the politics of high school sports, it had kind of gotten more toxic over the years, from when Tanisha was in high school to when Gavin came through in high school. Was there ever an idea of coaching Gavin when he came through, or you were just hands off at that point?
Well, I coached Gavin, or I helped coach Gav. I was assistant junior high coach, and I coached him through it. Well, even helped out, volunteered when they were in 5th and 6th, because like I said, when he was in 5th and 6th grade, they had tournaments. I mean, we would play a lot of weekends. And so I kind of helped out through there, then helped in junior high. Then I stayed helping in the junior high, even when he went up to 9th and 10th grade. And, but Gary Burke was a longtime coach up there, and he had a good program. So I just left him be, and I said, he'll be fine. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to coach your kids, but at that point, like you said, the game hasn't changed, but people have changed where, like you said, it has got toxic. And it's harder for coaches to coach the way I was coached, or, things have changed that way. And I don't know whether it's for the better or for the worse, but it has changed. And a coach has a lot more to deal with than just taking the ball out and let's go play. I mean, it's a lot more of, I don't know if you want to say coddling or this and that. So, there's a reason why they keep score.
Yeah.
You play to win, and it's hard to when you have, kids thinking they're supposed to play, but
right.
You got to put the best 5 on there. I always thought I'm not subbing to make people happy. I
right.
sub for a reason. So, I mean, and it got to a point where I didn't want to do it anymore, as far as I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit here. I wore number 44 as an homage to you. Why did you choose the number 44? Was it just given to you, or was there a reason?
Well, no, I don't think there was a reason. I mean, when the numbers were put out, they start like at 2 through 44. Well, 44 was an extra large. So, but basically that's why it went on me. Because it's not ordered like they are now. If you have a number, you could order an extra large and a 2 or 6 or whatever. But back then it was the low numbers were small and the big numbers were big. So that's basically where the 44 come. Then it's kind of stuck. That's the number I wanted to have.
Yeah, I think when you have success wearing a certain number, I feel like all athletes are somewhat superstitious, but when you have some success wearing a certain number, you want to keep that number on. It makes you feel good.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like pre-game dinner, one to eat the same thing before every game, and like 44 was, I had success when they gave that number to me when I was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And I played some varsity as a freshman, and I said, well, then when I come a sophomore, it just stuck. I mean, I was able to excel start as a varsity player as a sophomore, and at 44 felt right.
Yeah.
Didn't want to give it up.
Now, I want to ask you, what do you do to keep the competitive juices flowing now that you're past your basketball career?
Oh, I play golf.
Yeah.
Still like to compete in golf, and an old man sport. So sometimes when the kids are I have a neighbor that has a basketball court over here, and sometimes when the kids play, I think I should go out and play. Then I hurt for the next month.
Yeah.
But I do. I try to do as much golfing as I can now. And since I get out of coaching, that kind of kept my competitive spirits when I was coaching, because I was as competitive as a coach as I was as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically what I'm doing now. I mean, I still watch a lot of basketball, still try to go to games. I keep the book now for the boys program. I keep the scorebook, and I've done that now for the last 3 years.
Yeah, you can't get away from it.
Never get back in the gym again, so I can keep the scorebook.
Yeah, I mean, that's like me, when I see it right now with my own kids. Yeah, I can still be out there and be physical with them, at my age, but I hurt too. But I mean, keeping the book, just being in the gym, being around it, I really feel like there's always going to be that desire for me to be around the game.
Oh yeah, same with me. I mean, you watch kids play and you think, no, he should have did this, or he should have did that, or he shouldn't, it's just, you're still coaching when you're keeping the book, or you're as a parent, you're still, no, you went the wrong way, or you're dribbling with the wrong hand. And it's just stuff you just, I don't think it ever leaves you.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever leaves you.
Well, Uncle Steve, thank you so much for joining me today here. I really always love talking sports with you, man. It's was great to see you for the family shopping trip. And, thanks again for sitting down with me. I mean, I really think that, growing up the way that I did and looking up to you and then being able to discover later in life how good you actually were. Cause I always knew you were good, but I didn't realize how good you were until grandma gave me that scrapbook and I went through and read every article and I'm thinking, wow, this guy, and you've always been modest about it too. That's one thing that I look up to you for. You've never been like, strutting with your chest out. You never talk about the glory days, and you had glory days.
Well, I appreciate it, Josh. I mean, it makes me feel good that people still, look at that and say that's an accomplishment. And I still feel in here, that's accomplishment, what I did and how I played the game. And but 40 years ago, there's, unfortunately, you didn't get to watch me play, or my kids didn't get to see me play. But I kind of thought that I gave the game what I had.
Right.
And I thought I played it to my highest level all the time. So.
And you pass that down to your kids too. And that has to be a tremendous feeling as a dad to know that you passed that down.
Yep, it does. It does. I have good kids and I am thankful. And they played the game the right way too.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much to Steve Aden for joining me here on High Top Sports Network today. Uncle Steve, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Take care.